Hey, got a comment on one of my videos recently. Guy's heading off to college and he's interested in getting a scooter, but he's concerned that it might be dorky. And I think that's a great question. It's a great topic. And so I'm going to talk about that for a couple minutes. The short answer, if you're over the age of 13, scootering is kind of dorky. So, yeah, unless you're like riding for Team Red Bull or something and doing all kinds of X game tournaments and stuff, if you're just out there cruising, wearing a bike helmet and stuff, yeah, it is kind of dorky. But, so yeah, let's just get that out of the way first. And then you got to look at the benefits, what you get out of it. Now, I'm twice the age of a typical college student, so I'm less concerned about seeming dorky, even though, hey, we all want to look half decent in a public environment. I will say this, part of the reason I got into it for recreation and for fun recently was that I take a class at a community college, and I came out of class one day a couple months ago, and three guys probably living in the dorms flew by me. Two were on longboards, skateboards, and one was on a scooter, a lot like the Razor Pro that I ride. And they were having a blast. I mean, three of them just zipped right past me, jumping over curbs, having a good time together. They were just out for fun, just messing around. They were just having a blast. So I was kind of like, that's cool. So, I mean, you're going to see scooters around a college campus today in 2013. There's probably a little bit different perception about it. I got into scooting, just really quick history. When I was a kid, I skateboarded. As an adult, I got into rollerblades, but I had a bad rollerblading accident on a steep downhill grade. I used to love rollerblading, and I dislocated my shoulder. And I've dislocated it a few times since then doing other sports. So rollerblades and skateboards, anything, falling on the hard surface makes me feel uneasy, but I really, really missed that feeling of rolling and cruising, especially in the summertime. And the scooter gives me that with the handlebars. Also, you've got a brake, I mean, that's a huge thing to consider when you're cruising down a hill. Like, I go down that hill a lot, looking up that street right there, and I really get cruising down that hill, and I'll use that brake as I'm coming into the intersection. Also, let's talk about the campus environment for a minute. If I were a kid today on a college campus and I were interested in scootering, I would turn that, quote, dorkiness into an advantage for using my scooter as a chick magnet. Now, let me talk about that for a minute. One thing I do notice when I'm cruising around town here is I do get looks and like little smirks and smiles, especially from women. It seems guys don't really, we don't really pay much of attention to what another guy's doing. Is, if they're having fun, hey man, that's cool. But yeah, women will kind of like look at me and smirk sometimes like, hey, you're a grown man riding a scooter. But guys, let me tell you something. If a young lady is noticing you, you got to step up on 90% of the guys that are just walking down the street being boring. I mean, you got an angle to work with. If I were heading out to school today, what I would do is I'd get myself a scooter, and then I'd pick up a really beat up scooter at a pawn shop or the Goodwill, like for 20 bucks, and I'd keep it in my closet. And then when I strike up a conversation with a girl who's going, hey, what you doing on a scooter? I'd say, wow, it's funny you should ask. I have an extra one. Let's go out for a little cruise and go get a ice cream or something afterwards. I mean, hey, that is very original. And if you use that pickup line technique, please report back here and leave a comment, because I want to hear about it. But yeah, when I first picked up this scooter, I went over to my lady friend's house with it. She's got a really nice neighborhood to cruise around in. And she laughed at me as soon as she saw me take this kick scooter out of the car. She laughed at me. And, she says I'm reliving my youth. But, you got to ask yourself, man, what's wrong with reliving your youth? Especially if you get a scooter that fits you, like the Razor Pro. The handlebars extend You know, I don't even have these handlebars extended all the way on the Razor Pro. I'm 5'9", and I've still got about another inch that I could raise those. So it's definitely got enough room for a guy, I'd say up to about 5'11", maybe 6 foot. And the construction is really solid. But you know, get a decent scooter like the Razor Pro, I would say, if you're even considering it at all. For cruising anyway. So I hope that answers some of the questions about is scootering dorky, especially if you're a younger guy heading off to college, kind of a campus environment kind of thing. And even if you're just somebody like me, just, you know, some guy who's, you know, over 40, over 30, 40, heck, 50 years old. Hey, thanks a lot for watching, and yeah, leave some comments about whether you think scootering is dorky or whether you think it's cool.